Real estate is big, so big that in America alone, it's projected to have a market volume of $94 trillion. Not billion, $94 trillion. And it's going to be big in the future as well. With a growth rate of 4.51%, it's going to reach $142.9 trillion by 2028. And one person always involved in the process, along with the buyers and the sellers, is the realtor or real estate agent, party that presumably brings in expertise, negotiation skills, access to listings, and helps both the buyer and the seller make this purchase. Well, they might not be needed anymore, and in fact, if you or someone that you know is using them, you might be getting ripped off. And just a disclaimer here, I don't have anything against realtors. I think there's definitely value to be had in having a realtor, but this video is more about analyzing how we've gotten to the point where majority of people think that realtors only extract value and don't really provide any value themselves. And this belief particularly stems from their high fees. In America, the average realtor charges 5.5%. This is a combination. The listing agent takes 2.83% and the buyer's agent usually takes 2.66%. This means on a home valued at the median price of $431,000 in the United States of America would have just over $23,000 in realtor closing, with the average homes taking around 30 to 45 days to sell. The buyer's agent and the listing agent have effectively extracted $276,000 if they sell a property a month from the system. And what have they done to deserve this value? Well, they have access to the listing, so they've probably logged into their websites, looked at all of the leads, and done some viewings. Other expenses might include staging the property to make it look nice and beautiful, taking pictures and videos to make it appealing to buyers, and also seeking out clients, which in most cases they don't have to do since most properties in popular areas already have demand. And the problem a lot of people have with this is that as property values have scaled up and multiplied through the years, the work and the effort that realtors have put in to sell these properties have not gone up at all. They do the same things to list the properties, they do the same things to attract buyers, and the same things when it comes to paperwork, all while extracting more value from the market just because of the increase in prices. Even if you can justify this roughly 5.5% fees, a lot of people have a problem with the hidden fees that the real estate industry bakes in to extract more value from home buyers and home sellers. It's not a very transparent industry, and that's for all to see, no pun intended. This was evident in a recent lawsuit that took on the real estate industry in the United States. The problem was that people were paying commission to real estate agents, but the price of the commission was already baked into the price of the house, and they never knew the amount of commission that they're actually paying. Similarly, you could look up a house on the multiple listing service or MLS, and it includes literally everything you could want to know about a property, from size to taxes, upgrades that you have to make, amenities, the surrounding area and locations, but it specifically doesn't disclose the amount a buyer will pay in realtor fees. The Realtors Association has basically come in and refuted all these claims, and a lot of prominent realtors have basically said that buyers will have to pay in one way or another to compensate the realtors for their time. You know, it's always a good sign when a whole profession of people, or at least a lot of them, come back to you and say, I'm going to get my 5 to 6% from you, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it, all for roughly 30 to 60 days of work. The emergence of online websites and applications that also have access to the MLS or the listing system might also prove to be a threat to these realtors, since I can just go up and look at all of the houses that I want to see and simply hire a lawyer or someone to fill the paperwork. And a lot of realtors and real estate agencies also believe that this is the future, whereby there's tiers of realtors and you can get a cheaper realtor for just filing the paperwork or helping with specific aspects of your property purchasing process. There's also plenty of junk fees involved in the entire process, but the common one being the admin fees. This is more on the brokerages, whereby they encourage their brokers to charge up to $500 in admin fee per transaction, essentially shifting the broker's revenue stream from the agent directly to the client, since the brokerage only makes money if the broker closes the deal. Several agents are able to keep a large percentage, sometimes even up to 100% of their commission, as long as they charge somewhat of an admin fee to the client, in some cases even being $600. I can sit here and talk forever about the hidden costs that are baked into real estate commissions and the surprising amount of fees that are charged sometimes on top of that, but the argument is if this is justified based on the value that the realtors bring. A lot of people feel that realtors bring no value, since closely we can analyze different professions that you might need to take advantage of if you don't use a realtor. Well, A, you need to list online on a website, and as you you might know that that is not that hard. All you need is pictures and the ability to understand how to read and write English or whatever language your country uses. B, you need pictures, and for that you can hire a photographer, and a really good one. You will also need to process the paperwork then if you get an offer that you like on this website. Let's call it the MLS. You're not a lawyer, so you don't know the intricacies of what goes into legally transferring property from one party to another, so you're gonna have to hire a lawyer. This lawyer is going to cost you around $1,500 to $2,000 on the higher end, depending on the area you're at and the complexity of the sale. And this is also overkill, by the way. You can get someone for much cheaper. If you want to go all out, you can also get your house staged, which basically means getting specialized furniture to make the photos look good. This is going to cost you roughly $2,000. So now if you've gone all out, you've staged your house, you've gotten the best photos, the best lawyers, pretty much everything you need for a complete transaction. And I want you to notice one thing here. None of these people is taking a percentage of your home's value if you're selling it, nor a percentage of the price if you're buying it. They're taking a flat fee because that is arguably a fairer structure for service-based jobs. People questioning the value of realtors are not really against realtors per se. They're just against this predatory model of taking a percentage of your hard-earned money, whether you be the buyer or you be the seller. Let's take this a step further. Let's say that you don't have the time for all of these and you want to rely on a third party. Would it be a smart move for you to rely on a third party that has a conflict of interest with you? Realtors' earnings are directly correlated to the amount of activity in the market. Always the best time to buy, and it's always the best time to sell. And to demonstrate this, I've reached out to two realtors, both in the same brokerage, one of whom I contacted for buying a property and asked him if this is a good time to buy, which of course they said is a good time to buy, and the other one I contacted with the notion I am selling a property and if it's a good time to sell, and they said, yep, this is the best time to sell. How could it be the best time to buy and the best time to sell? And how could it be the best time to buy and best time to sell all of the time? Make it make sense is what some would say, but this conflict of interest will always exist in this type of relationship due to the commission-based compensation structures. Now, this would be completely okay if there were some steps in place by the industry to make sure that this conflict of interest is addressed, but there lies the other big problem. The barrier to entry to become a real estate agent is practically non-existent. You don't have to go through a lengthy period of training, and in most cases have to study for under a year to become a certified realtor. In Ontario, for example, where I'm from, you need to study 6 to 9 months on average to become a certified real estate salesperson, all from scratch. So I can sign up today in May, and by the end of the year be selling you real estate on YouTube. Even though the courses that they take covers bias and sensitivity training, the motivations of most individuals joining the real estate industry are pretty clear to all: making a quick buck. And that is not wrong, although might be unethical if you're not adding any value, like we've discussed. This profit seeking also seems worse since for the most part there's a big lack of accountability on the part of realtors. It can be argued that in a lot of places there's laws to protect for hidden fees and excessive commissions, but there's not really laws in place if you get some sort of bad advice from your realtor in terms of buying or selling. Staging, photography, basically anything involved with the real estate process is extremely subjective, and it can be argued from the realtor's end that they did their best and it was simply not meant to be. Not meant to be is not a very good excuse when it's probably going to be the biggest purchase of your life, but this is where the laws are a bit shaky. Let's compare this to another profession like being a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer that requires you to go through years of training, years of certifications, and then years of experience to then be a certified professional in the industry. When I walk into the realtor's office, the only thing I know is that it's the best time to buy and it's the best time to sell all the time. There are no guarantees of quality and there's absolutely no guarantees for consistency. And I don't even blame the realtors for this. This is a problem with the National Association of Realtors, or the organization licensing realtors in the United States of America. They make most of their money from licensing realtors, providing courses for real estate training, and then renewing these licenses. They're incentivized to have as many members as possible, having around 1.5 million members according to some sources. Again, a misalignment of incentives where the organizations representing these realtors themselves are creating these realtors from thin air without much background check, without a proper education, and without checking if the realtors are going to have the client's interests at heart. And all the pressure put on these realtors by brokerages also cannot be ignored, with them also taking a percentage of the pie, a pie that's entirely created by the buyer and the seller in the first place, with a lot of people referring to the real estate brokerages and realtors working at them as being leeches. We've talked about a lot of problems so far, but what is the solution here? How can this industry be more pro-client in terms of being more pro-buyer and pro-seller, and ensure that it's actually providing and charging a fair price for the value it brings to the table. Two solutions proposed, and we've touched on one already, are charging a flat fee for their services or an hourly consulting fee that is documented and extremely transparent. The ideal solution would be a flat fee service where the realtor charges a flat fee to sell someone's house, since selling a bigger house or a bigger property doesn't really require more brains or more strength from the realtor. And if you go a step further and say that, hey, actually selling bigger properties amounts to a bigger burden on the realtor, you can also charge an hourly consulting fee whereby you document the amount of hours you spend staging, preparing the pictures and other materials, listing on the website, showing people homes. You can document all of this and input it in a tracking software that then, according to your hourly rate, will tell you how much the client, whether it be the buyer or the seller, owes you at the end of the day. This introduces a lot of transparency into the process, which currently has very minimal. Some critics have also asked for the National Association of Realtors, or NAR, to increase their entry requirements and require realtors to get educated for a longer time, or maybe take more complex courses around accounting, finance, law, bias training, and other services associated with real estate, so that the quality of people entering the industry also increases and the amount of people looking to just make a quick buck decreases. This is easier said than done, since the entire incentive is misaligned and the NAR just wants to keep pumping out certifications and keep profiting off of an industry that is built on the back of buyers and sellers. Even with realtors and real estate brokerages not going anywhere, as a buyer or seller, it's always in your favor to be mindful of the parties that you're getting to engage with your process. If you have time, you can do everything that the realtor does for a percentage of the cost, and they might try to act like it's complicated, but it's really not. You need some good photographs, you need some good furniture, and you need to find a good buyer. Should you be paying someone tens of thousands of dollars just for those things? I'll let you be the judge, but always keep yourself first, and don't let someone with 6 months of training and education tell you it's always the best time to buy and it's always the best time to sell. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one.